There are quite a lot of presentations about bug bounty, and it so happens that many of them represent a view from the side of the bug hunter. The bug hunter would tell what they did, what kind of advice they gave. I will approach this from a different perspective, the vendor side. That will be a look from the other bank. And by the way, there will be a QR code for you to enter your questions. Please scan it. Watch, listen, ask your questions, and I'll make sure you get your answer after the end of the presentation. I suggest I share a few words about myself. My name is Petr Uvarov. I'm head of bug bounty at VK. I've been running security for quite a long time. I also do bug hunting, but because I'm too busy, I don't do it often. But sometimes I only find the time in an airport. So if you find yourself in the Sheremetyevo airport and see a guy with a laptop, doing something, that'll be myself. So let me show you what my presentation is going to be about. We can start with the basics. Sharing what bug bounty is and why, what it has to offer. It's not all about looking for vulnerabilities, it's deeper. Then how to start the bug bounty, so you shouldn't have a lot of pain either as a bounty hunter or the company. Also, because bug bounty is now about the Russian market, we'll talk about the local specificity. What's happening here. We'll touch upon the analytics of the current situation and maybe draw some conclusions from it. I'll also share the outreach to community, if it is. So, let's go. A lot has been said about bug bounty, but I think the basics that we need to start from is about how bug bounty is seen by both parties, from the hunter side and from the vendor side. For the hunter side, bug bounty can be something like this. You read chats, you see what they write there. Sometimes you understand that I brought a super cool vulnerability, and they only gave me like a chocolate bar as a reward, and not even bounty, but Snickers. I think in a standoff yesterday there was some info. Say, look, I've got this bounty, and who got less? It was about 500 rubles, I think. But from the vendor side, bug bounty can look sometimes like this. It's an old screenshot from h1mail.ru. So, what I can say, it did happen in H1 in the past. Now we see a lot less of such things in the Russian market. In fact, it's quite rarely that I encounter that. Maybe there's some Indian specificity about that, but who knows? But the truth is much more prosaic, down to earth. So bug bounty looks this way. On the one hand, we have bug hunters who try to explain why they're so valuable. On the other side, there are triage people who pass the vulnerabilities. The third side is about the developers who get this information about things that have been found and you need to fix it now. And now is like 3 a.m. So this is basically what it looks in brief. But if you do it not in brief, then it's a much more sophisticated system that looks like this. On the one hand, there are reward programs. On the other hand, it's a working tool to improve the security of your resources. Also, it runs 24/7 all the time because there are different bug hunters. Some work in daytime, others by night, and you only pay for the results. If they send you a report from a scanner. Well, I don't think it makes sense to pay, although it all depends on the scanner. But the most important thing is that it's the contact point between you as a company and the bug hunter. So it's a place where you can interact. Let's speak in more detail about how this process looks from the bug bounty hunter side. What does the hunter do? You usually choose something that you're interested in. So either a piece of software that you're interested in, or the one that they say they're paying a lot for. So you look for a vulnerability, then find it, report it, and either get money or not. This also happens, but in fact, both for the vendor and the company, it looks a bit differently. So they found a vulnerability in our product, sent us a report. We start checking whether it's valid or not, because again, a report from a scanner is not a vulnerability. Then we ask ourselves a question: are we aware of this vulnerability? We work through all the information where else this vulnerability has been found. Maybe internally, or another bug hunter has already reported it. Then we start exploring this vulnerability. Maybe it only displays on this particular bug hunter side. Once we identify this is really the vulnerability, we start ranking it. There are 4 criticality levels. There's also normative, but let's leave it aside. Also, we ask a question of why it emerged, and after all that, we come to the developers and say, hey guys, you messed up, you need to fix it. After setting this task for the developers, we start discussing how much it makes sense to pay for it. So we pay the money before it is fixed. Then having assessed the cost and having paid to the bug hunter, we just control the fixing process. After we fix it, we get back to the bug hunter reporting that we fixed it. Actually, there are 2 very different questions about this slide. Firstly is, why has it appeared? You need an answer to this question to understand the root cause of how the vulnerability came about. An answer to this question would point us to the problem area. And second, we need to scale out. So where else can it be available, and which other resources, to understand that maybe the problem is a bit deeper than in the report that we've been sent. So this way, you can expand the concept of bug bounty and say that bug bounty is not only about the search for vulnerabilities. Vulnerabilities are actually the result, the side effect of the processes that have problems. So, for instance, if you have some toothache, you're not going to fix it without something against the pain. And exactly the same situation applies to bug bounty. If they brought you something, for instance, let it be XSS, some XSS field in one resource, so it fires quite often, and perhaps apart from the obvious screening of special symbols in the resource, you can get deeper into that and teach the QA to test some simple XSSs. And also, bug bounty is about a new look at the problem. It allows us looking at the product from other people's perspectives, users or your customers, to improve security again. So, generalizing, bug bounty is a tool to analyze the existing problems in the already constructed processes of information security, using external people as a channel to find information.
Инструмент хороший.
It's a good tool.
Можно внедрять.
It can be implemented. But put it this way, if somebody should tell you, let's open bug bounty, it's cool. I will tell you, you can't just, come and implement bug bounty. Because if you do the wrong job of launching your bug bounty program, or if you run it incorrectly, it's all going to turn into a living hell for both yourself and the hunters. So how to do it so that you shouldn't have all this pain? One of the slides showed bug bounty as an internal process built of 4 elements: information security, how you should assess the reports that are brought in to you. So you need to have professionals and their time to do that. It's about funding, which makes sense because you need to pay for the vulnerabilities. So also there's a management element because you need to do something with your developers at the very least. And as I once, or more than once mentioned, you need to do the community outreach. Because if you don't do it properly, the whole thing is going to fail. A small prompt for those who are going to start. Please answer several questions before you start anything in information security, in bug bounty. So firstly, do you do regular scans of your infrastructure? Why do you need that? Any open ports, they shouldn't be open. Any simple passwords, even some trivial CVEs, SVEs. So doing regular scans will allow you to improve your security profile, and at the end of the day, pay less to the bug hunters. Second, check the resources that you use. Do you run regular vulnerability scans such as SAS or DAST? This will help you find vulnerabilities, maybe coded secrets. If you find them, bug hunters will not find them, and you won't have to pay them. Some simple exercises, easily found vulnerabilities, sometimes even something more serious. So an SQL injection, some SQL injections can be found with scanners, and making good contribution to the overall security. Then going on, do you run audits at all? It's about manual scanning. There's a person who goes there and starts looking. It's more about finding vulnerabilities that haven't been found in the previous stages. Some SSRFs, some IDORs, some file loads with web shell access. So something that scanners do poor job with. And after you've run through these 3 stages or found answers to these 3 questions, ask yourself a question if you've ever run a pen test. And if yes, then when? Maybe if you last did it 5 years ago, its results are obsolete. Can you launch without all these processes? Well, perhaps yes, but actually no. In fact, if you do launch without them, your bug bounty won't live for a long time. Even the simple admin secrets will, come to you on the first day. You'll be overwhelmed by reports. You'll pay all your money, and that's it. The program's over. So the captain here is not just like that. It's Captain Obvious. Well, another important element that follows directly from information security is about money. Money is important, however strange it may seem. Of course, you can start a bug bounty program without money, but that'll be difficult, and for that, you'll need to be able to work very well with other elements. To calculate the bug bounty budget, And for the bug bounty program to be viable, you need to find answers to several questions. Firstly, how many vulnerabilities have been found for you in some external resources, or maybe some dev resources that will become external? Second, how statistically vulnerabilities have been spread across them? How many XSSs, how many SCs, were there any SRFs? It can also be used to predict the budget. What's the percentage of different vulnerability categories did you have? Critical, high, medium, and low. Next question. Which vulnerabilities you are interested in accepting yourself? If you have some client-facing service, of course, you need to get information for clients. If you just have land or WAS with the back-end system, of course, you need to focus on the service side. But you need to decide for yourself. And the final question, which is perhaps the most difficult one, what maximum cost can you allow to be paid to the hunter? So let's take a look at the financial side. So we at the VK have grades. So the long the service has been covered by the bug bounty program, the higher the reward, starting from 18,000 rubles all the way to more than 3.5 million rubles. If you're only starting, you can look at the price a bit less than 360,000 rubles. I'll explain later. Let me explain the budget methodology, how we normally calculate the budget for new products. They only start bug bounty. Firstly, I would like to thank Alexei Grishin for his methodology, budget methodology. His paper is available using this QR code, but I'll try to briefly explain how it looks in some company. So let's consider some arbitrary company, like, as we say, a sphere in the vacuum. Let this company have the name of N, and so over the year they found 100 vulnerabilities in the external perimeter. 70% are low and medium level, 20% are high, and 10 are critical. So it looks that one critical error matches to high level and 7 mid to low level. It's just out of the head. Actually, you have to look at your own statistic. Then we take it all and put it into a spreadsheet. So we calculate the coefficient from RCE, or we see how many vulnerabilities there were from RCE, calculate the factor for each category, sum these factors up, and multiply by a proportion that's 1 to 7, and to get the overall coefficient for each critical. If we want to get one critical vulnerability, we need to plan a budget for 2 and 31 in this example. If your RC costs 200,000, then in order to get one critical vulnerability, you need to plan 462,000. Then looking at the number of critical vulnerabilities over a certain period of time, you can predict the budget for the next period. The methodology is quite simple. It can be made a bit more sophisticated, applying to the statistic for each element for which you've already had a bug bounty. You can actually start without this. But this saying, money doesn't smell. If you make a mistake calculating the budget, you can start feeling some bad odor. It can turn out that you run out of money, your bug bounty program doesn't work because you're not paying, and what to do next? So either You should remove this bug bounty, reduce the price, or get the budget. It all needs to be calculated. If your budget's too high, then you'll also have a problem at the end of the year. So there's another question of management. Again, there are some questions that need to be answered before you do that. How are you planning to launch? Self-hosted or on the platform?
И больше бэкхантеров, и больше активов.
Well, the platform would offer you more activities, more background, but you'll have to pay for this out of your nose. A very simple question. Are you going to have a person, an owner of this bug bounty program? Because if everybody is responsible, it means nobody is. You just need these people. They'll be doing contractual things. They'll be talking with bug hunters. Thirdly, who is going to do the triage? Is it going to be done by security professionals? Will there be a special department for that? Or will there be shifts organized to do that? And then you'll need to answer a question. Are your developers prepared for this bug bounty? They can be, head over ears in implementing new features, and they don't have the resources to do the bugs. And you need to have an answer to that as well. And finally, are you planning any SLAs for the answers and payouts for bug hunters? And the earlier you start considering this, the better it is to you. It is for you. You may skip answering these questions. You can introduce it as joint and several responsibility, but maybe that'll lead you to a situation like this because they brought you a critical vulnerability, but developers said we don't care because we have too much work to do. And nobody can give you recommendations because they're all busy. And so, as not to get into such situation, you need to find answers to those questions before you launch. And perhaps the thing that I like the most is the community outreach. There are no questions. There can only be tips how to do it better, how to talk to people better. The biggest piece of advice that we worked over the past 10 years is never to cheat on bug hunters. It's about promises, it's about everything. Be honest. Also, be polite. Even if the bug hunter is not right, even if they say something that doesn't make sense, always try to be empathic. If it's an RC about HTML injection, they're saying it's critical and very bad, you still have to say, to be empathic in your communication and very polite, because bug hunters are your breadwinners. Bug bounty is about an argument. It's an argument between the bug hunter and the vendor, and you'll be arguing quite often. Bug hunters do argue. Myself as a bug hunter quite a lot. I'm in disputes quite often. But sometimes you'll be the right person because you understand your service better. But sometimes bug hunters may be right because they're all specialists in the area. Sometimes they may be deeper specialists, and you shouldn't be too obstinate. Always explain your decisions in a lot of detail. For instance, if the bug hunter was expecting one amount and got less, you need to be able to explain to them why their report turned out not to be as critical as they had thought. If, on the other hand, they brought one report and then you were able to, boost it even higher, you can add them, and that would be a plus to your karma. Another piece of advice: if you don't know what to do, go to the platform. If you want to be hosted on the platform, if you don't know what to do, and if you're self-hosted, turn to your colleagues. The world is small, and I think you can always find someone who knows more about bug bounty. And the biggest piece of advice: be nice ones, and bug hunters will come to you. So we've considered the 4 elements, so we've answered your questions, and we can start. But you also need to answer several other questions. What scope you're going to have for your program? What information resources you'll be interested to highlight on the bug bounty? What rules and special features will be available? What kinds of vulnerabilities you would want to accept, and what price tag you're going to be able to offer. And another important question of what type of program are you going to run, a public or a private one? If not everything is good with information security in your company, so you've got some audits in the past, so maybe you can, but you're not sure. But the current situation, you can start it as a private one and then migrate it to become public later. Now that platforms allow this way. Let's talk about platforms and the specificity of the domestic market. We now have 3 bug bounty platforms available in the market. This is standoff bug bounty, that's positive, which is a positive bug bounty platform.
У них получается очень много различных ивентов для
They run a lot of events for bug hunters. Also, VK started.
Первыми стартанул
First started on standoff.
Если говорить про Bison,
As to Bizone, it's the second program where we started.
Тоже хорошая платформа с
Also a good platform with a progressive bug hunter rating, a lot of other programs, and capability to open reports. And finally, bugbounty.ru. VK, started there in the 3rd turn. It's the oldest platform with more than 2,000 bug hunters. So we've covered the platforms, and now let me share what's happening with bug bounty in VK now. As of the end of 2022, start of 2023, we had about 55 such programs with a maximum reward of 1.8 million. Now, as of the end of 23, beginning of 24, the number of programs grew by about 60%. So we're now running a little bit more than 90 programs, and the maximum reward also increased twofold. So this is the distribution of prices. The blue ones are the prices from VK, but actually the interesting thing here is the median line. The median is the price that divides the statistical distribution into halves. Programs costing less than 360 and more than 360,000. So if you're only starting, you can consider the amount of reward less than 360,000. If you've been running bug bounty for quite a long time, you can look at prices higher than 360,000. Mode is the average size of the program. It's now 360,000, and 1 million rubles applies to different programs from other vendors, Standoff, Tinkoff, and others. So we've covered the programs, the platforms, the programs. What else? Bug hunters. Before I talk about them, let me make a digression, sharing one problem that we're all concerned about. It's the shortage of information security professionals. The accumulated shortage is now measured as 100,000 people, and it's only set to grow. So about 60% of companies said that they have a shortage of professionals, and 32% said that their professionals don't have enough time. Actually, this shortage applies to the bug hunter market as well. Actually, when we're saying that IS specialists are the new oil, then about bug hunters, we can say that they're the new gold, because they're even less numerous than information security professionals.
2023 года
Statistically, as of early 2023, in Russia we had 250 active bug hunters. Those are bug hunters who in Q4 and in January provided at least one report.
начала 2024 года
In early 2024, the number of active bug hunters was 300 to 330. So compared to the growth of platforms, the growth of bug hunters lags behind. So this is about 20 to 30%.
я покажу, что было на HackerOne.
Okay, let's have a look at the Mail.ru,
Вот такой
the Mail.ru situation. So this is the statistical distribution
смотреть на
for 10 years.
хакер.
So unique hackers and the number of reports correlate. So the more bug hunters, the more reports. If you look at the average number of reports, you can see 1 to 1.5 reports submitted monthly. This grew depending on some activities, or maybe they published reports. This also stimulates bug hunters. So, but it's more or less 1 to 1.5 or up to 2 sometimes. Okay, and what's going on now?
Сейчас статистика немножко
Now you can see the statistics have changed. The average number of VK reports from bug hunters is from 1.6 to 2.6.
ВК это, конечно, не все.
Well, we understand that VK is not everything. Let's have a look at the rest. If you look at platforms, this is more or less the same, 1.5 to 2.5 reports from one bug hunter a month. Hence the question, how come? Why we have this increase? Why we have more reports by bug hunters?
Состоит в том, что
I suspect that the prices have dropped. That's why bug hunters will have to work harder to either get money through bug bounty, or to consider bug bounty as a hobby or as a nighttime job. So the salary used to be in dollars, now it's in rubles, and that's a big difference.
очень интересная картина.
Okay,
При росте
here's an interesting picture.
и при не таком большом росте бахантеров
We see that there are more reports, and the average number of bug hunters per platform has reduced, almost halved within a year. In January 23 versus January 24, we can see the number of bug hunter has reduced from 7 to 3.5 for programs. And if you go to the HackerOne statistics, there the correlation in terms of reports was visible. More or less the same holds for the reports for the platform. So this number also goes down. This means
из-за возрастающей
that the growing number of programs and the not so fastly growing number of bug hunters
отчетов
has reduced the average number of reports per program. I'd like to thank Andrei Levkin for the statistics and for the bug bounty division platform. We are also using the VK statistics. As far as I understand, this trend is also visible in other platforms.
выводы
All of that lets us draw some similarly obvious conclusions. Quite unexpectedly, the number of bug bounty programs will grow. So this is a tool which has become even more available. The number of bug hunters will grow, but it will fall behind the growth of platforms. Since the bug hunter channels are limited, the average number of reports will be further reducing, and the demand for bug hunters will grow, and they will start competing for bug hunters. What can we do about it? Well, number one, the overall increase in the number of information security experts will further increase the number of bug hunters. Where can we get more information security experts? Well, that's a big question. We can also invite international bug hunters, which is good, but there are some issues here. Maybe we can legalize so-called white hackers. Maybe it will be good to invite them, so they work in this field. And dealing with the community can also improve conditions for bug hunters, but this will be not global, but rather, well, this growth will be through higher loyalty to your program. Bug hunters pick programs based on some indicators. Well, I've been talking about statistics a lot today, so let me share some more of it. HackerOne ran a survey, and bug hunters provided this information on the criteria they use to pick the program. Quite unexpectedly, they are there for the money. Surprise, surprise. The next is the number of vulnerabilities. So, if there are too many holes you pay a lot for, bug hunters will be there queuing up for you. And they're also interested in different applications, mobile and bulk cards and so on. And they also want to learn new things. This is something which is also attractive for bug hunters. They also like quick pay, they like brand, and they like quick response. So this is something which depends on you. This is you're dealing with the community, which will let you invite the bug hunter. If you don't deal properly with bug hunters, well, it doesn't work for you. If you take too long to answer, they leave you. If the scope is limited, they will not pay attention. If you are rude with bug hunters, they are gone. If you respond with a big lag in a month or in a year, if you take months to consider reports, well, they will not deal with you. If you pay little, no, they're not dealing with you. And all together, it adds up to some negative glow, and nobody will be looking for you. So dealing with the community, well, is a really important. This is part and parcel of your work. So you know, bug hunters, they are blood of your campaign. They are needed there. We have an SLA for payments and for responses. We try to validate response within 3 days and pay within 10 days. There are some exceptions to the rule. Sometimes reports are quite sophisticated, and you need more time to deal with them, and this moves the time further. We also have support for bug hunter. Say a young bug hunter brings vulnerability for us, and it is critical, but it is not there in the table for remuneration. It has a low impact, but we still want to support them. We want to give them at least some money. Well, say 3,000 to 5,000 for the report. This will motivate the bug hunter for further research. We had cases like that. The beginner started bringing more and more critical vulnerabilities. This is really cool. This means that these guys are growing. We also have another feature. We call this promo codes. Well, we don't have the race condition, but when we run some events, like In the positive, we have hacks. We had some promos in the zone. So if a bug hunter brings a report, they can attach a promo code, and with the remuneration, they'll get a bonus. A promo code like 20,000 rubles.
У нас есть повышение.
We also have the impact increase for the vulnerability. Like a bug hunter brings an SSRF, and we start looking at it, and we see that this is not an SSRF, this is an RCE. Say
Таким образом,
something like that happens. So we'll pay considering the maximum impact, because without knowing this vulnerability, we wouldn't see a more critical vulnerability. And so we pay more because we win more from this. We are open for Telegram communications. We are available in almost all the chats, standoff, zone, bug bounty, and so on. So any chat available, so we are there. We are also introducing a new concept, so we call Bounty Pass. Okay. Talking about our shared experience and 2023, so we can also have a look at the statistics. Well, quite surprisingly, so XSS is and IDOR are the two most frequently seen vulnerabilities. And last year, our maximum vulnerability, our maximum pay, was more than 2.4 million rubles.
и так получается, что
And it turns out that in 2024, we celebrated our 10th anniversary, and well, we decided to do something. We didn't want to do something like X10. We wanted to do something more memorable and interesting. And we decided to take a global approach to this. So we are launching a lot of new programs. Please have a look at our announcements next week's. This year the budget is more than 200 million rubles. Last 10 years we had 140 million rubles we paid, and for this year we have 200 million rubles for 1 year. We also introduced some charity jointly with Wiki Dobro, and we also have lending to keep you posted on our programs and Bounty Pass.
подозрительно похоже на Battle.
It looks like Battle Pass, doesn't it? Okay.
Bounty, как бы.
Okay, what is it? Battle Pass in Bug Bounty. What are you talking about? It is not that bad. I would say it's even good.
Подошли к точке зрения
We
наоборот. Вы платите
have a reversed approach. In Battle Pass, you pay for participating. Here, it's the opposite.
Bounty Pass,
And the concept of Bounty Pass is like that. If you look for more, we pay more. So what is Bounty Pass?
это такие вот
No, Bounty Pass would be time-limited events with unique topics and unique targets. So you reach these targets, you get bonuses, and after the Bounty Pass, the winners will get some prizes. Physical prizes, monetary prizes, I will talk about later. And the best participants will get an individual bonus. We'll have 3 Bounty Passes. Bounty Pass Progress, which is running now.
в конце.
Then late in July, we'll start Bounty Pass Olymp. And in quarter 4, in October, we'll start Bounty Pass Advent. In each of them, we'll have a unique mechanic, their own features, and they are brought together by the accumulating bonus. What is it? At the beginning of the Bounty Pass, you have a 5% bonus. So you bring a report to us,
К этому отчету мы добавляем
and we add 5% to this report as an extra pay. You bring 2 reports. To the second report, we add 10% of the pay. You bring 5 reports, we add 25% to your 5th report.
он растет.
So it grows 5% with every paid report. and sky is the limit here. You can have a 100% bonus, and you can bring the RCE for 360, and you'll get more than 7 million. So we stopped the fixed pay. Now you can make even more than we have in our programs. But at the start of every next bounty pass, the accumulated bonus will be reduced to 5% again. A quick example. So you give us the XSS in Vkontakte, and it was 60,000. If this is your first report, you'll get 63,000 rubles. If this is your fifth report, you'll get 75,000 rubles. And talking about the current bounty pass, it looks like that. We have a progress bar. There we have some events. You should open, and you open them easily. So you have progress bar, and it is filled in based on the number of vulnerabilities you submit and the price of this. Now we have the first event. So the more you fill it in, the more events you'll have. Quite soon, we believe that the second event will be available. So please go to the landing, have a look. And then we'll understand the winners. We'll have 30 winners who contributed most to the progress bar, and for 10 winners, so the other 10 winners will be picked based on a lottery among those who have provided paid vulnerabilities. And there are two more things here. The two best bug hunters will be given individual accumulated bonus for a year, which is 10%. So if you bring the largest number of paid reports, or if you brought a lot of reports which totaled more remuneration than the rest, you'll get 10% bonus for the whole year. It adds to the other bonuses you have and the promo codes. And this way you can make even more than we have in a standard program. And all the bug hunters who helped to fill in the progress bar go to the Hall of Fame, where all the bug hunters for the season are represented, and there you have some achievements mentioned. So this is our engagement with community. We think it is really important, and this helps our services to be more secure and helps game bug hunters make more money, and this also adds gamification to the bug bounty work. Summing up,
из всей презентации, то можно, наверное, сделать следующее. То есть bug bounty — это сложный процесс.
Bug bounty is a sophisticated process. It is difficult to launch, whatever other people may have to say.
Проблема на текущем.
And considering the problems now, the issue or the lack of bug hunters is going to stay with us. If we don't find ways, I mean, not VK, but the bug hunters community and all the companies,
Будем страдать от уменьшения количества репортов со временем.
we'll have fewer reports in time, which will be a bad thing for us. Communications are important, and if you communicate properly, bug hunters will love you and come to you.
Стоит сказать то, что
And competing for bug hunters, well, this is important between platforms and between vendors. Everybody has their own way to attract bug hunters.
наверное, это все.
I think that's it. But before I start the Q&A, I'll make an announcement.
Те, кто бакхантит,
And for those who bug hunt, tomorrow we'll increase our grades for our programs.
это без анонса.
We
Вы узнаете только отсюда. Поэтому смотрите на название программ.
are doing it here and now, so you can start hunting, have a look at the programs,
Смотреть.
and please follow our news next week.
Ну и в принципе, наверное, все.
And I think that's it. Thank you.
Помимо футбола,
We have t-shirts, and we also have 3 sets of merch
тем, кто
we will share with the authors of the best questions.
шайтан-техникой, чтобы ответить на них. Да. Почему российские компании раньше плохо относились к баг-баунти?
Why Russian companies didn't treat bug bounty well in the past, and how are they treating it now?
Не совсем плохо относились.
Well, I wouldn't say they treated it badly. The process wasn't exactly transparent, because until 2022, we only had HackerOne, account integrity, and there were some issues in terms of performing
Оплаты,
payments for bug hunters, and so there was some lack of trust to international hackers who can breach things and break things and so on. Well,
и позитивы, которые проводят такие мероприятия.
but now, thanks to positive and these events, the overall trend,
Хакерам оно становится более позитивным.
so the overall approach to hackers and attitude is getting more and more positive, and now, so this is a good environment for starting this. So we have 3 platforms now interacting with them, so they're attracting more bug bounty effort. Okay.
Если программы строго определенный скоп, а хакер принес
Okay, if there is a scope and the report is out of scope, what will happen? This is a good question.
от программы. Потому
It depends on the program.
если ресурс явно указан,
If the resource is out of scope, then, well, it must be for a reason. Maybe people know that this service is full of holes. Don't go there. Have a look at this.
компания, она сама для себя
And the company will decide what to do. So if this is a new resource we just didn't know about, talking about the wiki, if we see a new resource, so a vulnerability for a new resource we didn't know about, then we are likely to pay for it. But if they bring a resource, like we have some training programs, and there we have resources out of scope, and we say, don't look there. So they bring the vulnerability, we say, well, these are training resources for learning information security. So in this case, we are not going to pay.
разработчики не хотят
Developers don't want to fix vulnerabilities. What to do?
говорить, объяснять, показывать критику.
Tell them, explain things, show the critical nature of this and why it is dangerous, how this can impact the service.
Безопасность
So we should start with the cloud experience. So we have an XSS. We can say that a hacker can use this access to break the whole thing. And this is admin access. Then the admin rights will be stolen from your moderators. So you should engage in a dialogue. You should communicate.
Много ли было исправлено критических уязвимостей, выявленных благодаря баг-баунти?
How many critical vulnerabilities have been identified through bug bounty? Well, yeah, they bring good critical vulnerabilities, and they have been fixed. And we also received null days, and this is good. This is why we started bug bounty, to receive critical vulnerabilities. This is one of the reasons.
330 баг-хантеров.
330 bug hunters. Is it for the whole of the country? Only for VK? This is for the whole of the country. The active hunters who are there in all the programs. So I had a script parsing standoff. I took statistics from Bug Bounty.ru and from Yandex. So it's not only VK.
Хакеры из этих.
Not all of these hackers hunt for VK.
Поэтому эта цифра именно для России.
So this is for Russia, for Russian programs, because some of bug hunters are not from Russia. They just participate in Russian programs. Do you have any questions from the live audience?
Политика раскрытия отчетов. К раскрытию отчетов мы относимся хорошо, так как они, как я уже говорил, помогают.
Okay, publishing reports. This is good because this teaches bug hunters and pushes forward the community. We publish reports with on bug bounty. They have a mechanism for this, but sometimes in reports there are things we cannot reveal. Since this vulnerability, say, is not fixed in other services, or it is extremely critical, this also happens. We can either mask it, or sometimes we deny it. Or if you want to reveal the vulnerability and you want to write an article about it, please do. We have this regularly. And if you want to go to the Pentesters magazine, and then we can consider it with you. So we treat reports positively, and we are glad to publish them. Thank you very much for your presentation. It's really interesting. I have a question. I understand that 300 bug hunters is not enough for trends, but still, VK has a program on 3 platforms. Is there any difference between the bug hunters there in these platforms? Maybe there are some trends, like standoffers bring bad reports, or Bison bring the low-hanging fruit, and so on.
Слушай, да, наверное, нет.
Well, I wouldn't say so, because we receive good reports from all platforms. Well, bug hunters pick the platforms based on their interests. Sometimes they have achievements, sometimes it's convenient to fill this in, sometimes you know the product owner and you just want to deal with it and the platform. We don't have any different discrepancies or differences like that. Okay, another question. I don't know all the platforms. I only dealt with standoff. Are there any preferences in terms of whose reports are more convenient to read? Maybe there is a better template with one of the platforms. Maybe they have a more convenient template, so it's easier to deal with.
Я как бакхантер, наверное.
Well, as a bug hunter, I would say I cannot pick. I don't hunt on any of these platforms. And as a vendor, well, it's convenient anywhere. We even have bots, so you can read the report in the bot. Okay, any other questions?
Были ли случаи, когда бакбаундер?
Have you had cases like that? Bug hunter has been looking for vulnerabilities, but your CM or SOC just saw this and stopped the guy from moving further. Well, we've had cases like that. We had a case.
Не совсем с CM-ом соком связано.
It's not related to the CM or SOC. We had a case where they brought one vulnerability to us. And since we quickly mitigated it, the hacker couldn't further fine-tune it, but we had a case-by-case discussion with him. If the SOC can see that there is a vector and the bug hunter is exploiting it, saying, I saw this, it worked then, but after I have checked it, here are the screens, but now it is not working anymore. So it means that you have fixed something. We go to the SOC, we see in the logs whether it's really the case.
Все равно нужна
Well, we need this case-by-case check. So we will not reject the report for this. You, please.
Интересует вопрос. Штрафы за слив персональных.
What about the fines for personal data leakages, IDORs, and criticality analysis? So do you have the 0.4 coefficient? Well, there the coefficients. So we take an abstract company. So we have a table with remuneration for all the programs. So we show our estimate for IDORs. So IDORs can have a higher tag than they initially cost. But it depends on criticality. Maybe it's megally critical, and we understand that the price is obviously higher than in the table.
немножко другие коэффициенты. Вот, но у нас программа.
It's not 0.4. The multiplier is different, but we use a different approach in our program. Okay, we have some more time. Any other questions? You, please.
Спасибо большое за презентацию.
Thank you very much for the presentation.
У меня следующий вопрос. Секунду. Вы говорите, что бэкхантеров становится все меньше.
You're saying that there are fewer bug hunters and more programs. Do you think that supply will exceed the demand, and at the critical point, bug bounting won't be interesting anymore, and we have a shortage of HR in information security and in IT? So maybe we should develop secure development rather than deal with bug hunters. Well, you know, this is quite interesting.
Вероятность всего.
Well, probability is there.
Прям сильно плюс.
So demand will exceed the supply, and bug hunters, will be, kind of snatched and so on. Well, maybe this is going to happen, but this is not happening now. And Positive is going to international markets. Other platforms are also looking for international bug hunters. So I don't think that this is going to happen. But talking about secure development and that you should invest there, but not in bug bounty, here is what we say. We have people who have their own approach. Bug hunters have a different view, a different perspective. And so this change of perspective gives you a chance to find something new if you don't notice these things, for instance, so they can highlight some new things. I think that bug bounty is going to progress, and it is going to proceed, and we have all the opportunities for this. Okay, thank you very much. No time for other questions, unfortunately, but I think it's the final track.
Все, давайте, пускай.
Okay, a few questions.
Я здесь.
I'm here.
Спасибо за выступление.
Thank you for your speech.
Уже на стадии разработки находится такая сущность, как повышение прозрачности.
What about increasing the triage transparency for bug hunters?
Ну, говорю, мы стараемся подробно писать о том, почему мы оценили так или иначе.
Well, why we assessed it like this or like that? So,
60 тысяч, мы платим 30-60 тысяч.
So if we pay 30 to 60,000, well, this is kind of obvious. And
несколько выступлений.
we have several speeches planned where we'll be talking about some interesting reports. We had some other speeches. For instance, the previous zone we talked about bug hunting and how we do our triage.
Если интересно, можете приходить.
So we can also talk to you personally about it. Okay, thank you. Let me ask you a follow-up question. Is there an idea of how to develop a guarantor to receive all the source codes and to collect the roadmap and reports on a product, and receiving comments from the hunters, compare this stuff.
Тут тоже есть нюансы.
Well, there are some nuances here.
В продуктах это они присутствуют в исходниках.
Vulnerabilities in products, they're there in the source codes, and this is the property of the company. And if you give a guarantor access to the company, well, you're running a risk here. Wrongdoer can hack
Может
guarantor
вот,
staff member,
будет получать.
and then it will be a bad result of a good initiative. I think we are talking about volumes here. So VK releases about 2 billion lines of code a day, so we need a huge infrastructure,
А у платформ
and the platform,
и получается у нас какой-то
the platforms have many vendors, and so if you have a platform accumulating,
всю
if you accumulate all the vulnerabilities about all the platforms, well, you can ask some, SWAT team to take the servers from the center, from their
прозрачность про дубликат.
SOC. So I understand that we need more transparency,
Если
and
оценили как-то неправильно,
if there is an issue with this, then you can ask the platform as a guarantor, because the platform has communication with the vendors and guarantors. You can say, okay, we think that this is not a good duplicate, and then you can solve the problem with the platform.
девушка,
Okay.
Вопрос такой: какие наиболее креативные и самые оригинальные методы использовались для
What are the most creative methods used to find vulnerabilities
баунти?
in the bug bounty program?
какие самые креативные?
Okay, the most creative ones. Yeah, the most creative ones. Thank you.
Я знаю, что давным-давно, когда у нас был еще один сервис,
Well, long ago, when we had one service, they rented a machine and they looked at the internals, because there was a service there assessing the price of the rent, and this was one of the most creative approaches.
ну вот некоторые 0D, которые нам приносили, это достаточно креативно. Там, получается, бэкхантер копался в
Well,
читал исходники нескольких библиотек.
Bug hunter went in the to the libraries and read some source codes of these libraries, and there were some references to each of them. And at the third or fourth step, there was a vulnerability, and it was in the fourth library and was exploited from the first library, and something happened like that.
Ну и давайте, наверное, последний вопрос.
And the final question, please.
Подскажите,
Предпоследний.
пожалуйста, собиралась ли информация от организации?
Did you collect information from an organization? Like how
Штат,
many organizations hire bug hunters?
размещенный на
So maybe your platform organizations can say, okay, we say steal this guy so that he shouldn't kind of deal with the many tasks, but rather focus on our organization.
Как таковой статистики
Absolutely. We don't have any statistics, but I know a lot of people who were bug hunters and then they were hired. My colleague, another colleague of mine, and another colleague of mine, and many other people, they started as bug hunters and then they were hunted. Because, well, this is a good expert, why not hire him? But we don't have any statistics. And if you have it, I'd like to share, just to hear it. And here is the final question. Thank you.
бизнеса и
This is a business question. So bug hunters, a few businesses inviting more bug hunters. So how can you attract them? How to make them see your project if it is small? And what are the perks bug hunters can have if this is B2B? Well, non-material remuneration.
Может проявляться и мерч.
Well, it's pretty good, and merge can be good if it is super creative, or at the end of the quarter or year, there is a prize for the most active, for the critical vulnerability. This can be also attractive for bug hunters.
Какие-нибудь ивенты, которые вы организуете для
Maybe some events you open up your internals, and you just invite them to the office, you have a meetup, you discuss the vulnerabilities, the interesting ones you have considered, how you consider them, how you fix this. This can be quite interesting. Thank you.